Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me again. If this is your first time joining me on my channel, you're so much welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me once again. So today I'll be addressing some of the questions that you've sent to me via email, on Instagram, and some on my YouTube videos. And I will be trying as much as I can, or as best as I can, to answer some of your questions. I realized that those questions were going to be vital information for others, so I decided to share some of them. I'll be keeping the people that ask the questions anonymous, and yeah.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay, all I want, and I pray.
So I took all the questions and I decided to break them down into headings and titles. So let's get into the first part. So now for the studies. The first question I will be reading is the grades for studying here in Norway. So I received a question in my email to ask if they do accept second class lower degree. And if to study in Norway, to do your master's in Norway, you need a second class degree. The answer to this question is it depends on the university, number one. So some universities are strict on taking first class students, and sometimes they even say those who were top 10 in their university. So for your bachelor's, if you were top 10, that's the only time you can apply. Some of them are like first class or second class upper. Some are second class lower. So you would have to know the course and check the requirements. So when you've chosen a course, so say economics, I'm studying economics, I went to the university to see their requirements, and then I saw that, okay, this was what they wanted. Most of the universities for economics required first class and then second class upper, just that. And some also required some additional test scores. Some required GRE plus SATs or TOEFL, test of English language, depending on the country you're coming from. So it's very advisable for you to go through the requirements thoroughly, because there are some requirements that might be there that would apply to one university, it might not apply to the other university. So it's very essential for you to go through the requirements. I received another question that asks if grade does matter for your application process. The truth is yes, grades matter. I'll tell you why. We got this when some of you that already applied, you would receive this email when you get your admission. If you've been granted admission, you have a breakdown of all those people, all the number of people that applied for the particular program you're in, and then the number of people they took. You would see the difference. Like, say 1,000 people can apply for the course, and then they can only admit 20 people, 50 people out of like 1,000. So I just put myself in this small box. I'm like, I'm here, I'm applying for this course, but then think about the number of people around the world that would want to come and study here. So it's like, it's just you against like millions of people, you against thousands of people applying for that same program. And then the cutoff point is your grades. So you can fulfill all requirements, but then when so many of you have been able to fulfill all the requirements of proving your financial statements, your passports and everything, the cutoff point now is the grades. Then we'll start those that got first class. So if there are few people that got first class during the time of application, lucky for you, they would come to second class upper. If the people that got second class upper were few, they'll come to second class lower. So imagine if there are so much people getting first class for that program and then you got a second class lower, your chances of getting into that program is very slim. So it's just best for those of you that still do your bachelor's and would want to come and do your master's degree. It's very, very advisable for you to put much effort to be on the top, so that you will not be, when they are cutting off, you won't be on the cutoff line. But then some programs still do accept second class upper and second class lower. You just have to search thoroughly and then look at the requirement. Then I received another question regarding the money you are to transfer. So the question reads, was it only my visa application fee I needed to pay, or I needed to pay an amount of money to the school, in other words my proof of funds, and then do they return it on my arrival? So I'm trying to read this in the second person if that's what it is, English teachers. So about the money, this question came before I made the video of the proof of funds, so if you're yet to watch it, it's going to be up there. And yeah, the proof of funds is the second part. I was also confused when I was going to apply to Norway, because I asked someone who was going to study in another Europe country, and then she was like, oh no, she didn't need to pay this, she didn't need to pay that. I was like, okay, now this is Norway, let's come to Norway. What is Norway requiring? Norway is requiring you to have your proof of living expense, and that's I've said in the video. And then that's you're not sending that money to the visa application center. So just be very careful when it comes to the issue of money. Know what you're supposed to send to who and what you're not supposed to send to who. So the proof of living expense you're supposed to show, that's about 121,000. I can't remember the figures, but then all that money is supposed to be sent to the school because you do not have a Norwegian bank account. But then for your visa application process, you would have to pay. Those of you coming from Ghana and Nigeria, I can always speak for you guys because yeah, we're neighbors. So we would have to pay a visa application fee, which is to the immigration service, UDI, and which is for the visa application process. So you would have to pay your visa application fee separately. And then because we do not deal directly with the embassy, we are dealing with VFS. For those of you in Ghana, you deal with VFS. And for those of you in Nigeria, I know that there is no Norwegian embassy in Nigeria, so you would have to, the Nigerian visa application center has to send your application to Ghana, I think, because yeah, Ghana, we have the Royal Norwegian Embassy there, so they would have to send so with that application it comes with a fee, so your charges might be higher than those coming from Ghana, because in Ghana we would have to pay an extra application fee to the visa application center. We are paying for the visa application, which is about 600 euros, almost 600 euros, almost $600, I think, and that is the visa application fee. But that money is different from what you're going to pay to the visa application center, and that is separate. And then you would have to pay for courier also. So that's a whole different process altogether. It is different from the proof of living expense you're supposed to show. Well, they return the proof of funds on your arrival. Yes, as I said in the video I made on the proof of living expenses, you would get the money back when you come to Norway, unless the system changes. But then, as far as I know for now, when you come to Norway, you'll get your money in two ways. The first way is you'll be given a sum of money every month to pay for your rent, to buy your food and everything. So they've calculated how much you need in the month. But sometimes if you need to pay for your rent like upfront, you need more, you can just go for more. But then you would be transferred everything when you get your Norwegian bank account. So the process of getting a Norwegian bank account takes so long. That's why the school has to hold the money for you safely, because these expenses, you can blow all that money in 1 week. Trust me. So the school holds the money for you, and then when your bank account is ready, then they transfer the money into your bank account. The process is as simple as that. So the money is yours, you can do whatever you want with it. When you come to Norway, you get your money back. So now we are done with studies. The next heading I have is on the application process. So the application process has a visa application process and the admissions application process. So the first one is if I assist in the school application process. Honestly, I don't assist in any process. I'm not an agent or anything. I just like to share. I just like to help people. So I'm just sharing from my experiences and everything. I'm just trying to share my experience with you, and I'm even learning in the process. So I don't provide any agency services. I'm not a consultant. I'm just a student like you. I was so curious when I was applying also, and then from my past experience and what I learned, that's what I'm also sharing with you. So the next question is in the application portal, where you would have to upload some documents. So with this, you should have your documents on your PC in a folder. So what I suggest you do is to create a folder. When you get all the requirements you're supposed to submit, create a folder for all the schools you're applying for. So each school should have a folder, and then all the required documents should be there. Just transfer it into your PC. This is ICT. You just transfer it to your PC if it's in your PC to apply. I think that's the easiest way to apply. Then you keep it in a particular folder, and then when it's time for you to apply in admissions portal, you just like click on your computer or your device and then find a folder. So it's easy for you to find a folder when you've created special folders for every universities and every requirement. It's going to be easy that way. So with that, you just need to upload the documents. But then some schools require you to provide original copies. You would have to send it via courier to the school. So you can contact the school to send it via courier for you. Or if it's a document you already have on yourself, you can just send it via courier to the university. Okay, so I got another question on the visa application. If I did the visa application myself, and did I send the money to the school account after the admission, and did I use bank statements to apply? So yes, this is also a question I've addressed in the video that I made. If you're here to watch it, that will be helpful for you. So for the visa application process, yes, I did everything myself. I didn't need a middleman for anything. I did everything by myself, right on the comfort of my own bed. If you have any questions, it's just good to consult others that have gone through the process. That's easy. But then it's a simple process you can do yourself. They make everything computer friendly for people. If the language on the website is in Norwegian, use Google Translate to translate it to English. And it's so simple. If you do it yourself, you learn more. But then there are some things you miss when you apply, so it's just good to, you can call the visa application center. I think you can even call UDI. They are ready to answer your questions. So another question on the application process, that is it possible to upload national ID card instead of passport? I know there are some exceptions to this. Yes, you can upload your passport, or you can upload your national ID card. It really depends on your university. I know some schools are keen on you putting your passport number, and it's in red asterisk. So if you don't have your passport number, you will not be able to continue with the application. So everything varies according to the school. But if there's no information on that, it's best for you to email the school, or you can call them. From wherever you are, you can call them on phone. I used to call the school on phone, and they respond to me and give me all the guidelines. So I received a question on what is the best way to apply for universities in Norway. So this question is a long process. If I would want to explain everything in details, it's really long. But then the best I can say is for you to start scouting for schools. It's not too early to scout. I started scouting like 4 years when I was in level 100 of my bachelor's. I started scouting. So when I was ready to come and do my master's, I already know the universities and where they were even located, and sometimes I already knew what they required. I just needed to refresh and see if there is any changes, any updates to what I previously knew. So it's best for you to start scouting for the universities you want to attend. Know what they want, know what they require. You can even try filling the application form when the application is open. See what it entails, see everything. And then you can now search through their course catalogs and see what they offer their study programs, because some schools they have some programs which they discontinue the next year. So you just have to be sure that the program you have chosen to study is still on. Then you check and see their requirements, and sometimes I even go to the extent of checking their alumni page to see the experiences of the alumni, what they their career and everything, where they are located, where they are working. I just want to know everything about the school. So it's very good to do that, because quality matters. So it's good to start searching for the school you want, do your research, do your background research. You can even check their ranking in the country, you can check their ranking in the world. It's all about searching. So when you search for it, then you can list all the requirements the school is asking for. Know the application deadlines also. This is very important. And then target that you would submit your application few weeks before the application closes. So in case there's any mistake, you can go back and then rectify it before it closes finally. So that's the best way I can summarize the whole process. But then if you want me to do a video on that for fully, I can do that for you. I got another question that reads I'll read this directly. With the application for study permit, that's the visa, will you write a letter of explanation or study plan to the Norway embassy in Ghana? So the answer to this question is no, you don't need to go through that process. All what you need to do is to just go to the portal, fulfill all the checklists they say you should have, and then that's just it. So I created the checklist out and I was sticking it. If you don't know what the checklist is, you can just message me and then I'll send you a link to it. Or if you want me to make a video explaining what the checklist entails, I can also do that. But then you just need to follow the checklist, and on the checklist there is no letter. If you attach anything that is not in the checklist, though, just the ladies at the counter, I'm not trying to be feministic, but then they're mostly ladies at the counter. So if you're going to meet a gentleman at the counter, the people at the counter will just go through the checklist. That's what they do. They'll ask for the checklist and ask for the documents you've brought, and then they go through it. If you bring anything that is not related to the checklist, they will throw your documents away. But then if it's really required of you to attach your study plan, I know this could be for those applying for PhDs, you might need to attach your study plan. I'm not really sure about that, but then for PhDs, I've gone through that before and I've seen you might need a study plan at some point. But because you're a first-year student, you have no idea what is going on campus. You don't need a study plan for your visa application process. But to apply for your renewal, that is when you need to show your study plan, and that is called your progress report. So with that one, you are already in school, and we know now you know the system and you know the study path you would want to go through. So then you can now submit your study plan for the next semester. But now that you're a fresh student applying for a study permit, you do not need that. So it's the only exception might be for those going to do their PhDs, which I think you don't even need. And there was another question on please with the documentation which shows that you have somewhere to live in Norway in the checklist. Should you have to rent and pay the apartment fees, or is there any way to get the documents without payment before the visa? So for this, the place where you're going to be renting will be dependent on you. It depends on what you choose and where you would want to live. If you would want to live on campus, most campus apartments, you do not need to pay anything before you're given a contract. So what you're talking about here is your housing contract. But then it's just your housing contract to show that you have an agreement with a landlord. But this varies. It depends on where you're going to stay. If you're going to stay outside school, probably a private residence, you've seen a private residence you would want to stay, you would have to go into a contract with the landlord. But most landlords require you to pay rent. Some require you to pay 3 months advance. So we are in December now, and if you're planning to come to Norway in March, and you've gotten a place to stay, you've seen a landlord that you like his house, or he saw a house and you would want to move in there, they'll think you're not serious, because you might block your chances from having other people to come and stay there. So you would have to pay. Some will require you to pay even 6 months advance or 3 months advance, and this is where the fraud comes in, because people pay that money and then they realize that it's not a real landlord. So you just have to be so careful to choose where you would want to stay when you come to Norway. So with this, it depends on where you're going to stay, and then you would add the contract to your checklist. So the contract doesn't matter. They don't care if you've paid rent or you've not paid rent. They just want to see your contract that you have a place to stay, and it should be registered in your name that yes, you have an agreement with Oslo to stay in this place from which month to which month. It's going to be stated there. So if you're coming for the 2023 academic year, it should be stated that you're going to be moving in on this day. The first day of you moving in will be there. So if you're coming for 2023 academic year, it means you should have moved in you have to move in by August. So it should be stated that by, say, August 1st, you're going to be in the apartment. Okay, so now we are done with the application process segment. Now to the healthcare system. I received one question on this about the healthcare system in Norway, if it's great and if it's free. So the healthcare system here is really good, I think, because honestly, since I came here, I've not been to the doctor. To God be the glory. It is not my power. It is not by mind. It is God. It's good to go to the hospital for regular checkups, but then I'll try my best in 2023 to go for checkups. But since I came, I have not needed to go to the hospital. So what I know is that you're assigned a doctor. You can call for consultations. And I don't know who my doctor is. The thing is, I am afraid of injections. And you see, the hospital has some smell. When you go to the hospital, it has this medicine kind of, it even makes me sick. So I'm so scared about anything related to doctor, hospital, consultation. I am really, really scared. So I've not called my doctor yet. So I'm supposed to do that. Yes. So the healthcare system is really nice. I from the stories I've heard, yes, it is. But then it is expensive. So it's for simple checkups and all that, it is free. Basic, you have cold, it's free to go for those. But then if something happened to your teeth, forget it. Your eyes, you don't even want to know. Those ones are not subsidized by the government. So if your teeth is paining you, I mean, I don't know what you do about that, because it is a lot of money. For that, it is a lot of money. The free thing does not cover your teeth. It doesn't cover all specialized eye care, and then some of them might be so much. Yeah, you might need special care. They do not subsidize that. You would pay. You would feel the pinch that you're paying for your teeth to be fixed. You feel it in your teeth itself. So that is how it is here. So yes, for basic illness it's free, but when it comes to extra, nine. It is not child's play. The last part, or in the family migration. So I've had questions related to this. If you can bring your family here to Norway, yes, with your student visa. The answer is yes, but then there's an exception. Okay, so this question is, can a student invite their family, spouse, and child? So that's a question I received. The answer is yes, you are able to invite them. But then the invitation, it depends. The invitation depends. Are you inviting them to come and stay, or you're just inviting them to come and look at your face? Now, it is two different things. if you're inviting them to come and stay, it is a whole different ball game altogether. If it's to invite them to come and hug them and tell them, oh, I've missed you, you guys want to see around Norway, that's as simple, because with that they would be coming on visitors visa. But then if you would want them to come and live with you, that is a different visa altogether for them, and that is the family migration visa. With that with that, you can only bring your spouse or your child which is less than 18 years to come and live with you. But then if you want your mom, your sister, anybody to come and visit you, they would have to come with their visitor's visa. So don't worry, I can do a video explaining this into details to tell you the requirements for both of them, the visitor's visa and the family visa. I can do a video for, just leave into the comments if you would want a video on that. Let me just know if it's something you would want to know. But then this is the best answer I can give for this. You can bring your child to come and stay with you when you're studying, and you can bring your spouse, your husband, your wife, or someone you're cohabiting with. So someone you know you're going to marry, you can bring them, but it's a whole different process altogether. But if you want to bring your whole village, nobody's stopping you. If you want to bring your whole village to come and visit you, you want to throw party, you can bring everybody, but then you would have to go through the visitor's visa requirement. It's not as easy as that. You would have to go through certain requirements, but then with that, you're coming in as a tourist. Yes, and you have just a few amounts of stays or a few time to stay. Nobody's stopping you. You just have to go through if you can go through all the requirements, see, you can, anybody you like, bring them. Nobody's stopping you. But for them to come and stay with you, you have to go through the family migration, and only those two people can come, your spouse and your child below 18 years. If your child is above 18 years, they can find their own way. And then I have another question. Please, how can you help me migrate to Norway? So this question, I understood it differently. The answer to this is I can't really help, but then I can give advice on that. And yes, you can be able to migrate to Norway in different ways as a student. So yeah, that was how I saw it. So you migrating to Norway has different channels or different routes. You can come in as a student, but then there is a limit to how many years you can stay. You can come in if you have a job, you can come into Norway. So I'll be talking about the job questions in the second part of this video. And then you can come into Norway as different ways of migrating to Norway. It's a whole lot of routes. But then you would have to go through all the processes. If you come here as a student, look at all the processes we have to go through and all the requirements you have to submit. Imagine coming for a work, coming under work permit. Even though that's so easy, but then yes, getting the job, it is not the joke. So that is another way you can come in. There's another question that asks, hello, please, I would want to ask, as a student in Norway, are you allowed to invite your spouse over, and can your spouse work as well? Yes, so this was why I answered that yes, your spouse can come and then your spouse can also work. So you will be schooling and your spouse will be working. That's how it is. I think that is very nice. So I'm like, just you do the work, I'll do the school. That's so sleek and smooth. What do you think? That's going to be so guys. Yes, I don't do any work, you do all the work. I'll just be reading. I'm like, oh no, sorry babe, I'm reading. Do the work, do the dishes, I'll do the schooling. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope the questions were so helpful. If you have any further questions, you can just email me on aslama72@gmail.com, or you can just follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting all my Christmas experience in Norway on my Instagram page, so you don't want to miss this. And if you have further comments, you can just leave it just below this video in the comment section. I will read it. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye!